Bob
Yeah.
Lazar. So, the first thing so when you look this guy up, right? So
Yeah.
you find that the first thing you find, even on BobLazar.com, is
Mm.
that Bob Lazar is a conspiracy theorist, and like they basically make out that he's a nutcase that's made up
Sure.
a story about aliens, right? So
Yeah.
whenever I see that on Wikipedia, I immediately think that's bullshit. He's definitely
Yeah.
not a conspiracy theorist liar
No.
then,
No.
because they go to such lengths to tell you that he is. Like
Mm.
there's no kind of like maybe he's telling the truth, maybe he's not. There's always like we know for a fact. Well, you don't know for a fact, do you? So
No.
that piqued my interest anyway. But the brief story of him. Let's just bring up the Wikipedia page here, right? Just to kind of give you an idea of what they're saying about him.
I just want
Bob,
to say this: the whole
go on in.
thing. When I listened to the Joe Rogan show,
Yeah,
it absolutely freaked me out in a way because
yeah,
I just think like if this guy's lying, is lying with great detail, absolute
yeah. That's
like
right. I
huge
know
detail.
you've got to have a wild imagination to lie to
Yeah,
that level, haven't you?
yeah.
So it says Robert Scott Lazar, born January 26th, 1959,
Great Scott!
is an American conspiracy theorist. He's not
Oh
American
God!
conspiracy, and then it says and self-proclaimed physicist. No, he's a physicist. You don't
Yeah,
self-proclaim yourself a physicist
no,
unless you're a flat earther. Then you self-proclaim yourself a
yeah. Oh
physicist.
yeah,
But
yeah.
this guy is an actual physicist. Why wouldn't they put that before conspiracy theorist, who
Mm.
claims he was hired in the late 1980s to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology? The work supposedly, they've been all sarcastic here in the old
Yeah.
Wikipedia of the wiki, occurred at a secret site called S4, a subsidiary installation allegedly located several kilometres south of the United States Air Force facility, popularly known as Area 51. Right, we
Mm.
don't need to go into his life
Yeah.
and stuff, but it says here that
But
he
sorry, man,
said
but it wasn't actually based at Area 51, though.
no. It says it's next door.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it says here.
50,
Right.
it's actually 15 miles from Area 51.
Yeah, he was at Area
Yeah.
52. It's a bit like it's a bit like he wasn't really at number 10 down the street. He was at number 11. All right, okay.
Yeah.
Lazar, but there's not a next door to the White House, though, is there? The
There's
House of
not.
White
No.
in the States.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I just got to do this.
My name is Swift, you better recognize now.
Do you remember like earlier on that thing you sent me? It was that he kept pointing at Swift. It was
Yeah,
going,
yeah,
Swift.
yeah.
This is what it's all.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, your name is.
And he
Swift.
goes, I'll reiterate that. Swift.
Yeah.
My name is Swift, you better recognize now.
I reckon Bob Lazar should go into singing and be called Swift. I reckon he looks
Yeah.
like a bit of a Swift.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
don't really. Looks like a bit of a pedo, to be honest with you. But,
We're allowed to say that.
Bob Lazar!
You just made the list.
So it's got here. He claims Bob Lazar purports to examine alien craft and read U.S. government briefing documents that described alien involvement in human affairs over the past 10,000 years. Well, we know nothing happened before 1900, so because the
No.
Earth's flat, so that's a lie.
Yeah.
His claims brought additional public attention to Area 51 and fueled conspiracy theories surrounding its classified activities. His assertions have been analysed and rejected by skeptics and some ufologists. Oh, not all of them.
Yeah.
But skeptics, of course, are going to dismiss it because they're skeptics.
Yeah.
Ufologists, some of them have. He maintains a following of supporters. And then, so let's get into this story. That's all I'm reading off the Pedia Wiki. So, hang on a minute. It also, I've just looked down where they're further discrediting him. They're saying that he's been affected by his criminal activity. He was convicted in 1990 for his involvement in a prostitution ring. Do you know anything about that?
No.
Right, this is what it says on the Pedia of Wiki. And again in
Maybe
2006 for
he wanted
selling
a bit of side ass.
illegal chemicals. Yeah, so yeah. Right, so it says here that a journalist, they've named a journalist called Ken Lane, saying a lot of credible people have looked at Lazar's story and rationally concluded that he made it up. As you said, it's some kind of imagination anyway. But lots of people, he sounds very convincing when he speaks. So let's go through what we actually know about him then. So this is, jump in whenever you want with stuff that as I go through this. I've just bullet pointed it and got little notes down here. So he was like in obviously a different building, but in the area of Area 51, right?
Yeah.
And he was in Area S4, reverse engineering alien crafts. He had top secret clearance. They employed him to reverse engineer alien crafts that they've been looking at for years and years. Apparently. So because he had top secret clearance, the US government was started monitoring his phone calls. Right.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So they found this is the story he tells, right? So they found that his wife was having an affair. So they thought that it would put him in he wouldn't be reliable to keep things secret if he had to go through trauma of a divorce or finding this out.
Yeah.
So they didn't tell him, but they thought he'd be emotionally unstable. So they moved him off of the job they was asking him to do. So they said, stop reverse engineering. There's those alien crafts now, Bob, and just go and clean that car over there or something. You know what I mean?
You've been demoted to janitor.
So according to Bob Lazar, am I saying his name right? Bob Lazar.
Yeah, Lazar.
Yeah, didn't
Bob Lazar.
Lazar. Bob didn't know why they took him off of the job, so he freaked out about it, right? So because he freaked out about it, he started exposing it. This is a very short version of what happened. Am I
89
doing this justice? 89,
right.
yeah. 89 is when it, but I think it was around 91 that he started exposing it from what the research I've done, right? He started telling people about what he was doing. He was taking people to an observation point, and apparently numerous witnesses were witnessing these alien crafts coming out, flying around a bit, doing weird shit, and all around that area. And he showed apparently loads of people this. I don't know if anyone's ever come forward and said he showed us that. I was one of those people. Have they? Do you know anything about that?
No. So they only done test flights on these alien crafts on a Wednesday, because what they found is the highway leading next to the actual area was less busy on a Wednesday. So when they done the test flights, they done it on a Wednesday because they knew less people would see it.
No, it's market day, isn't it? That's why.
Yeah, it's market day. Yeah.
You can't go out on Wednesday.
2 for a £5. Get your spaceships. 2 for a £5.
Market day. It is on Wednesday. 2 spaceships for a £5.
Yeah, that's
two
a bargain,
Ufo'S.
Yeah, Ufo'S. They're not actually called UFOs now, though, are they?
Ain't they called?
No, was it UF something?
Yeah, I don't know. I know what you mean. They've definitely have changed the name. But what do you know? It's like you always hear everything's America in it. Like America is the center of the universe where all of this shit seems to happen. You never get anything like this in
China.
In
China,
they'd call them big green men if they landed there.
Big,
because they'd all be taller than the people from
China.
Extra large greys.
Exactly. So he was taking people to an observation point. And loads of people said they saw all these strange crafts doing really weird shit that you could never see. What was the stuff? So I found that there's something called Element 115.
No.
So this is what he was working with, apparently. Something called Element 115, which when I looked it up, I think it's later on in the 5 things that I've got there, if I get to that. It was saying it's like a gravity defying. So it was like a way... an element that allowed these spacecraft to just take off and like literally defy gravity. So literally a way we could never do it. Don't need like rocket fuel to propel yourself. They would just like Star Wars, like just like, literally leave the ground. And this was the stuff he was trying to reverse engineer. He was trying to work out what they did with this element 115. He went public. Apparently, the reason he went public was because he feared for his life because they knew that he might expose. So, thought by exposing it, he's telling people that I'm not suicidal. I'm exposing this, and that was his reason. Sort of what we do.
He did mention Clinton, did he?
No, not to my knowledge, he didn't. No.
Yeah.
But then he apparently went to. I don't know whether he went to some guy called George Knapp or something like this, right? He went to his investigative journalist, and this guy was like a proper head of his field and was skeptical. But as the story went on, he started to believe it more and more, and it made more and more sense. And he spent all this time with Bob Lazar, and he went through the story with like a fine tooth comb, and he is like, "This is a lot." As you said, this is a lot to make up. If it's not true.
But he sounds like when he speaks, when he was speaking on the Joe Rogan show, like he was legitimately like quite stressed out about telling his story. Like he had a migraine and everything, and like he's saying, "I'm really sorry, I've got a migraine. Where was I? Where was I?" And Joe Rogan had to keep like prompting him to like where he stopped talking.
You know why? Because Joe Rogan, show.
Yeah. But the thing that really like the guys are well spoken. Like I've got it here, right? So, and this is on the wiki's claims, and like you alluded to it last time. Lazar claims to have obtained a master's degree, and that just thinks like if you was to look at the guy,
it'd be quite easy to find out if he has or he hasn't.
Yeah, but if you just to listen to him, you know the guy is an intelligent guy.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's like
it always really worries me, like what you're reading out there, like when things like Wikipedia go to such lengths to discredit someone. Why?
Yeah.
Like what? And I kind of get confused when I talk about UFOs, aliens, and whatnot, because on the one hand, like half the people don't believe in space. Even if you do believe in space, then it's even a bigger stretch to say, okay, space exists and there's life out there that can get here. So you have to kind of like throw out everything we know for that to even be possible for people to come from other places. But to go to the amount of detail that they go to. Telling the stories is quite. You should write books if that's your imagination. You should definitely be a fictional author.
Yeah, definitely, because you'll make millions.
But
do you know what I mean?
But what confuses me the most about it is the fact that that other people say that like the government. We say the government, talking about the American government, want it out there. And then conspiracy theorists that don't believe in space, a lot of them would then say the next thing's an alien invasion. So they're going to pretend. So if they're going to pretend, surely people like Bob Lazar would be beneficial to them. Why are people going so far to discredit this person? If the plan is to have a fake alien invasion and for everyone to believe in space and aliens. Like nothing adds up, does it?
No. It's like when he was going into talking about like reverse engineering the actual like engine of the actual spacecraft. He said it's like me taking a nuclear fusion reactor or something to like the Victorian ages, giving it to scientists then, and then saying to them, reverse engineer it. They wouldn't have a clue. Like he was finding it really difficult. And he said, like, by this point, he had never been inside an actual spacecraft. Like, he'd never, like, so there were separate people working inside the spacecraft to him who was working on this.
That's right, all doing their own thing,
And he went in there because he said he had to go in there to kind of like see what it was powering. And when he walked in the spacecraft, he said it had no right angles whatsoever.
What do you mean? Like completely circular kind of thing?
It's completely circular. And he said it was like it had no colour. It was just like this grey shade of grey. Everything was grey, and it had 3 levels to this spacecraft. And he said,
like that old manager that used to work with us. Everything was beige.
Yeah, beige.
Maybe but then, an alien.
But then he said that so in the middle of the spacecraft is where this big source of power goes, and he goes there was 3 seats, and he said it was definitely built for a being that was like some sort of being that was 3 foot, about 3 foot, small grey. Yeah, and he said it had these control panels as well opposite the seats. But he said it like Joe Rogan then said to him like, did it have any like screens? He said no, it had like an arch with like where this screen just appears, and there was
Yeah.
these people working on the inside of his spaceship, and he said, "Did you ask them any questions?" He said, "No, we wasn't allowed. We wasn't
Yeah.
allowed to ask any questions."
So it was
We
working
just
complete. How do you reverse engineer something when you can't communicate with anyone around you though?
no, that's right. Yeah,
How hard can it be? Can
yeah,
you guys work together as a team? Because there's no I in team, right?
yeah,
If you can get one of these cringy little meetings that people have when they're trying to Americanize business these days, there's no I'm in team. Let's do a huddle before this, and let's talk about all this stuff, right? Do a huddle. There's no I in team, but don't talk to each other.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, but
Why on
then he
earth?
said, like when he was when they actually powered the spaceship up, he said, like, if you was to walk underneath the spaceship and look up, you couldn't see the spaceship, because what basically he said, it had like
Wow.
an imaginary envelope around it that
I've
like
seen something about this.
yeah,
This was I think this was element 115.
yeah, where it basically distorts like light so it looks invisible.
Yeah, I read something about the envelope
Yeah,
thing that you're talking about.
yeah,
Maybe it's on the other thing that I've got on my phone, but it's not down. I've not wrote it down, but
yeah.
yeah,
But
that's madness.
just
But
alluding to what people were saying though, like they said it, like he's a conspiracy theorist. I'm sorry, you have to have a fucking good imagination to come out of all that.
he's not
Like,
even by definition, he's not a conspiracy theorist, is
no,
he? Because a
no,
conspiracy theorist is somebody that sees conspiracy in everything
mm,
and makes a theory based on that conspiracy.
yeah,
This is somebody that's saying, I've seen this. That's not a
yeah,
theory. He's
no,
saying he's seen it.
yeah,
So he's not
but
theorizing anything, is he?
yeah,
He's
but at
either
the
making
beginning,
shit up, which isn't a conspiracy theorist,
yeah,
or he's telling the truth, which isn't a conspiracy theorist.
yeah.
So why do
But
they keep calling him that?
when he bring out when he like whistleblowed the whole thing, he actually said at the beginning he cannot prove his story.
No.
Like, there's no way he can prove his story. Anyone who is lying wouldn't say that.
Well,
They
they
wouldn't.
might if they're a really good
Ju-
liar, but it's a
yeah, but
ridiculous thing because he hasn't benefited. Like, what I was looking into with the facts about him, his story seems legit because he hasn't financially benefited in any way from telling it.
yeah,
Like nothing's improved. In fact, his life's got worse for telling it.
yeah, yeah,
Like, for instance, the Wikipedia would probably, if he hadn't told that story, would be celebrating him as the world's leading physicist
yeah,
that everyone should listen to on every topic because he's so bright. But because he's come out with this, he's like, oh, he's just a conspiracy theorist and a self-proclaimed physicist.
yeah,
Fake news.
Yeah. So there's another thing that I've found here that was about something to do with a hologram book. Did he speak about that on there?
No, he may have done. I was literally
You only
listening
watched
to
15
it.
minutes of the 2 hours, didn't you?
No, I actually watched about 35,
Much
40
more
minutes.
than me.
Yeah,
I'll
because
watch
I
some of
was
that.
I was actually quite glued.
Yeah, no, it is interesting.
Yeah.
But he's claiming that there's, like, he told these other people that he took to because there was a guy on that knew him. There was a guy on Rogan that I was watching that knew Bob Lazar, and they was kind of talking through all of the things that he'd claimed and whether they
Yeah.
was credible or not.
Yeah.
And this bloke met him. They both obviously been on Rogan, and this other guy, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was talking about him like he knew him quite well, and he'd taken him to the observation point and all this. He didn't say that he'd seen anything there, but I don't know if he did later on.
Yeah.
But he said that he spoke to him about this book that was like a hologram. Like, you know, like in Star Wars, where like the droid will show Princess Leia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. But you open a book and it comes up like that. Like that is apparently the kind of instruction manual for the ships.
Really?
Like, this is what he was saying. I mean, that sounds like a bit fictional, but then is it? Why is it? Like, just because I haven't seen one? Like, what? Do you know what I mean? It could be true. And he's also claimed, like, I don't know whether you saw this bit, whether he said this on what you watched, but Bob Lazar claimed that humans, that the government knew, that the US government knew, or at least strongly suspected that humans were a product of accelerated evolution. Aliens have been visiting for tens of thousands of years and crossbred their own species with primates in genetic experiments to create humans.
Really?
That's along the lines of Nibiru. And
Yeah, definitely. But you know that the funny thing is, like, that goes with that as well. When they was talking about the spaceship, like, they was told that the spaceships actually come from like another solar system, 30,000 light years away, like on this certain planet.
But how would they know that though?
I have no idea, and,
It-
and that's what Joe Rogan said to Bob Lazar. How do they know that? And he said, "I
I've
don't
not-
know."
Well, all I've heard from the research I've done is that he was trying to reverse engineer and really struggling to reverse engineer these crafts, right? But I never heard anyone say that there's aliens there.
Yeah, no, I never heard that either.
So
Like,
how would
I
they
don't
get
know
any
if I-
sort of they'd
I don't know.
waterboarding the aliens? How many light years away are you?
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
But don't you think it's like, so just going down the rabbit hole a little bit here, is there's actually people in the government know that where these ships are coming from, because they've
If
got
something's
eyes
being
on the
covered
sky
up,
all the time. Do you know what I mean? They
if
have got
something's
eyes
covered
on
up
the sky.
to this degree, people
Yeah.
generally know. I heard that like they caught an alien because we saw them pictures, didn't we, from the 50s
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But the alien that was apparently dead, apparently they killed him because they was torturing him, trying to find out how many light years away he was from, but he wouldn't give up. He wouldn't give up his location, and they said to him, "You got one more chance. You fucking tell us or die." And the alien apparently said to him,
Don't affect my wages.
so they just killed him. Right.
Do you reckon they measure it with bulbs? Like
With
light
bulbs?
bulbs, like
Yeah,
light
probably.
years. So
Yeah.
one bulb is
I
one
think
light
so.
year.
How many bulbs? Like, if you stand a bulb head to tail, how many of them do we need to get to your planet? All right, mate, calm down. The alien goes, "Well, whereabouts is it?" And he goes, "Oh, it's down there." And he went,
Like gas.
and he went, "No, not like gas." But yeah. So what else did you discover from what you watched? Because is there anything else from what I've bullet pointed here? Because I've got the five things that you might be telling the truth.
Yeah, I've not. That's all I got up to, and it's like I was getting disturbed whilst watching it as well, because I was actually
You had porn on another tab. Yeah.
I had my headphones in and I was listening to the actual show and working at the same time. Which is
okay. What not working out? That's when I do most of my research.
Yeah.
On the fucking cross trainer.
Yeah.
So let's pull this up then.
Yeah.
Hold on. I've got to get into the old duck of go, because this is so it says here, what is this called? This is 10 things that prove Bob Lazar may not be lying about Area 51, right? This is not 10, this is 5 things, sorry. So 5, Bob Lazar, this is what you said, Bob Lazar's extensive scientific knowledge. So he's knows a lot about science. He's got some kind of qualifications here, right? For people to keep pretending that he doesn't know. It says that Lazar went public in November 89 following an anonymous, I can't even say it. I've got a gas boom myself for that one. I can't even say anonymous. Where is it? I've got to find it now. I'll try and correct myself now. Anonymous, not too late.
Let's go bam, boo boo.
It's anonymous TV interview earlier in the year. His past was immediately investigated by the press as a man claiming to be an expert scientist in rocket engineering. Where'd you do that course? Basildon College?
I know, yeah. A diploma.
Yeah. It came as a surprise from investigative journalists to find he had no scientific qualifications to his name. So it's been debunked, has he? This discovery cast huge doubts over Lazar's claims that he reverse engineered alien spacecraft at Area 51, as the US military surely wouldn't hire someone with no credibility. But the twist in the tale is that Lazar claims the government wiped all of his qualifications to discredit him as soon as he went public. So there you go, right?
Good.
Which makes a lot of sense, because otherwise, they can. They can they can extinct you, can't they? Like they can just make you die if they want to.
Yeah.
Literally sometimes. Especially if you're hanging from a doorknob by your
definitely. Yeah.
The evidence to support, or the Clintons, please subscribe to Patreon for more further details. The evidence to support this comes from Lazar's clearly astonishing scientific knowledge. He is currently the owner of United Nuclear scientific equipment and suppliers, so he must have some high-level scientific knowledge to effectively and safely run such a company. So there you go. That's number 5. Yeah. So this is what I was talking about. So element 115, an anti-gravity envelope theory. So this is what you was talking about. This was on number 4. People were quick to speculate how spacecraft actually work once Lazar came forward, and fortunately he was able to give the world some insight. In his alleged experience reverse engineering the craft, he stated that the craft used an element simply known as element 115 or 115, whatever, for fuel, and can create anti-gravity envelopes when they enter an atmosphere. So this is what you was talking about, wasn't it? The envelopes.
Yeah.
Lazar's anti-gravity envelope explanation suggests that when a UFO enters a planet's atmosphere, it blocks the air resistance by constructing an anti-gravity field around it. This is very Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah.
It does this by creating a vacuum in front of it so the air doesn't reach the craft. Well, how would it do that? Because a vacuum doesn't push out air.
No.
So I don't know. Maybe it does on their planet. Who knows? So maybe it's a parallel universe where everything works opposite to Earth. Vacuum pushes. So the air doesn't reach craft. As a result, the craft can achieve seemingly impossible maneuvers such as stopping dead from high speeds and making sharp angular turns. Now, we've seen videos of this, haven't we? Of all of a sudden and then movement and like above the sea. That the Tic Tac video and the one over Bethlehem. The one that shot off into the sky. Although look that one up, everybody. Bethlehem UFO. Everyone under hoax, but I'm yet to be convinced that that's a hoax because it is shot from a million different angles all over Bethlehem by different people that don't know each other. So I don't know why people scream hoax all the time at it. It's more convincing than most of the shit we do on this show, to be honest with you. Although this is an interesting theory, there's no solid evidence to prove it, but there's evidence of
Let's go bang, bang, boom, boom.
Element 115, where when Lazar made his claims concerning it, there was no known element which contained 115 protons, casting doubt on his claims. But in 2003, Russian scientists were able to synthesize a chemical element named Moscovium, Moscovium, with the atomic number 115. How could Lazar have known about Moscovium 14 years before it was discovered?
Yeah.
I'm getting more and more convinced by this guy reading those.
Yeah. Do you know what? Right, even without reading them, just by listening to what I listened, and I'm like,
you're easy to convince.
Yeah, but I was, but I would say now I'm harder to convince. Don't get me wrong, I'll always have that skeptical barrier up, but
no, mate,
he seems pretty legit.
He does seem legit. So it says here the FBI raided his house. This is further evidence. So cultural and conspiracy-based interests surrounding Bob Lazar has led him to receiving a lot of media attention. The most notable media attention he has received in recent years was in the form of a Netflix documentary about him and his claims. There's a Netflix documentary about this guy.
It's called Bob Lazar and Flying Saucers.
Okay. I haven't watched. That would have been easier to watch, wouldn't it, than any of this?
It's an hour and 37 minutes.
Whilst filming this, I see it on the Tube of You, but I didn't want to pay for it. I thought it was a paid thing. But I've got flicks of that, so I could have just watched it. However, while filming the documentary in late 2018, Bob Lazar's house was raided by the FBI. During an interview with Larry King, Bob Lazar appeared alongside the documentary director Jeremy Corbell to talk about how his house was raided by a team of FBI agents shortly after the documentary camera crew had left his house. This took place following a private private conversation between Lazar and Corbell, and there was still being some element 115 in Lazar's possession. So he's still got this element himself, apparently. What's he going to do with it then?
I know, yeah.
According to Lazar, this is a quote from Lazar. They said they were looking for some receipts from an individual who might have brought some toxic material from my company, but they came with more people than you would think could even fit in the building. So they trumped him, not what they did with him. When they was looking for documents, they just come in and turn the place over.
This is the thing. If he's lying about what the stories that he's telling, why on earth would the FBI come and raid him? Why would they go to all this trouble to try and
just a nobody nutcase conspiracy theorist, right?
Yeah.
If Lazar is lying about his claims to have worked in Area 51, then what is exactly what I say? Why would the FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, and NSA send over 25 agents and forensic experts to his house simply to retrieve some paperwork? Would they do that?
No, mate.
You're right for once, Nathan. You fucking bellend. So number 2, Papoose Lake Base, whatever that means, right? So Bob Lazar was one of the first people to go public under his own identity about the United States government potentially having possession of some detained alien spacecraft. Because of this, most theories about Area 51 and its association with spacecraft can either be traced back to the Roswell crash of 1947 or Bob Lazar himself. Lazar claimed that there were, in fact, 2 bases within Area 51, the main one being next to Groom Lake, which was the public knowledge at the time. However, Lazar also claimed there was a second base at Area 51, which was underneath the neighbouring Salt Lake, Papoose Lake. Underneath the lake, as they saying. What the fuck's that? These claims were ridiculed at the time, not only because Bob claimed that this was where the hangars containing reverse-engineered spacecraft were, but also no such base was known to exist in 1989. Fast forward a few years, though, and the existence of a base underneath Papoose Lake has been confirmed by independent researchers. If Bob Lazar is lying about working at Area 51, how could he have known about the secret base within another secret base before anyone else even knew about the main base? I believe you, Bob. And the number one reason is he regrets coming forward. In cases where an individual comes forward with an extraordinary claim, they can usually be debunked through their ambitions of fame and delusions of grandeur. For example, the man behind the Philadelphia experiment conspiracy revealed himself after he saw the commercial success others were making from his claims. Years later, Carl Allen said he had faked the entire Philadelphia experiment account for fame. I don't even know what the Philadelphia experiment is, do you?
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it.
Okay. Maybe could it be a show? Or have I just debunked it? Right, okay.
Just
Can it be a show?
No, mate.
Right, okay. Bob Lazar hasn't really made any financial or commercial advances since he came forward with his claims. His estimated worth is hardly low, but it certainly isn't mega rich either. He has been mocked by skeptics for over 30 years now, despite trying to return to a humble, normal life. On top of this, Lazar even stated in a Netflix documentary that if he could go back, he would never have come forward with his claims. This is interesting because if Lazar was lying, he would surely try to milk the story and get his name wherever he could. However, maybe I should get him on WhatKast. However, Lazar still... Did you message him?
I messaged him on
Did you do it from an official WhatKast, or did you just do it from Lee with 3 followers?
Just Lee with 3 followers.
That's why he's not come back to you then. He thinks we have an audience of 3. I'm just telling him one of them's in the Bay of Plenty, and he'll be like that. Let's just say there's plenty of people in that bay. Come over, they're all listening. I've only got one phone between them.
Yeah.
Lazar still shies away from exposure, and he was even reluctant to make Netflix documentary. It's clear that Bob Lazar does not want to be famous, which is extremely uncharacteristic for a hoaxer. So that is the evidence that he's potentially an honest guy.
I think it is quite. I think like I lean towards more is telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because of like why would they go to all the trouble of trying to discredit him? Why would they raid his house? Like the guy clearly knows his stuff about like engineering or rocket engineering, whatever it is, because like he also said that he put a rocket engine in his Honda.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
did he go to the moon with that?
No, and it actually went to his local newspaper, and that's how they actually found him. That's how they employed him.
Do you reckon, like, when he found out, is like someone said to him, by the way, sit down, Bob, we've got something to tell you. The reason you're being taken off of this reverse engineering job is because your wife's having an affair. Do you reckon this happened?
Yeah. Yeah, she was having an affair with a test pilot.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
A test pilot for the alien craft.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Was he about 3 foot?
She had a little green man hanging out the back of her. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so maybe change the subject.
Yeah, that's what Bob said when his wife was.
Yeah, but it's just really strange. Really, like the whole thing is just really strange. And when he was describing inside the actual spaceship as well, I'm thinking you need to have some exceptional imagination for all that.
Yeah,
really do. So I think he's telling the truth. I think he is.
Well, we can't put him on the list because I already put him on there. But have we ever done this before? Wikipedia.
You just made the list.
I don't think so. They're
The
on there
thing
now,
is,
anyway.
I could edit Wikipedia.
I know. Yeah,
Like-
that's the thing. I forgot about that. That's probably
Yeah.
just from some random, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like it's just
But could you?
Wikipedia.
But could you though? Could you actually go delete the entire page and make your own page, or can you just add shit to it?
Do you know what? You used to be able to, and because it had an edit button. No, it's locked now. So
right.
Bob
You about
Lazar's,
to do it? Bob Lazar is telling the truth.
Yeah. So Bob Lazar's Wikipedia is actually locked.
Wow.
This yeah. So it's actually locked. So
So they claim to be like they claim that you can edit it, but his page is locked.
Sounds like cognitive dissonance to me, mate.
Yeah. I agree with it. Nathan's making some good points.
It's actually on it. It's like the grade of the lock is semi-protected.
What?
So yeah, so you've got a key with all this goes fucking so ironic. You've got a key with all the locks on and telling you what each lock means. So you got a lock with a person on it is semi-protected. A lock with a T on it is template protected. A lock with an
plate.
Yeah, a lock with an F on it is fully protected. So,
what about if you want to break in and your way of entry is this?
Oh, what a clothesline!
You get through the door with that. I think so.
Yeah, so creation protection. He's got loads. It's just protected. It can't. You can't change it. But back in the day, back in the thing, they used to be able to go on Wikipedia and just fucking edit what you want.
Edit.
Yeah.
Get your ass out of here!
Right. Anyway, that's the end of the topic this week. We've got to go do a little bit more recording now. So thanks for coming on and talking about this, Lee. I'm going to be back in 2 secs, and we'll catch you. We probably won't be back next week, but we will be back next week on the Patreon. So we'll see you then. And then
See you later.
We'll be back the week after on this main show with another fantastic topic that you're going to learn shitloads from. So, see you later, Lee, and I'll be back in a minute to rant about something.
See you later.